it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 16th of February to the 22nd of February. You know, there was one video I was in the middle of watching, and I was detecting it was not good, and then I was watching, and I was like, I don't want to talk about this. It really is that point where I hate watching mid and having to talk about it. Ugh. So we're just gonna go right to the videos that I was requested to talk about. I only had one this week from Yellow Cheese. They wanted me to talk about this AMV from 2006. It was uploaded on YouTube in 2006, but it was made in 2004, according to the copy line that they included here. Spirit Never Dies anime AMV. And this is a very technically impressive, but also kind of funny, little silly haha kind of AMV. I mean, it's very grand and epic for sure. But as someone who makes AMVs myself and likes to think of them as, they are cool. I see something like this and I'm just like, I don't know. So like what this does, the big thing that this does that I noticed, it takes a lot of different sources, not just FMA on the cover, but a bunch of like stuff from the 2000s and even a little bit like a City Hunter too, but like anime that had come up to that point in 2004, even like Monster, which is from 2004, which is crazy. So like I don't think there's any Death Note or Code Geass or anything like that because this was made in 04. So like those shows hadn't come out yet. I think I have to look again, but I'm almost positive. You know what though? No, that doesn't make sense. No, I think I remember seeing a Death Note clip. But it said the copy line was maybe it was their studio or something. I don't know. At least it was made in 2006, so I guess we can. I don't know, but yeah, it was a lot of Battle Shonen, a lot of Naruto, those sorts of things. Get Backers, Hikaru no Go, Shaman King. Not as much stuff that people talk about anymore. But and something that was kind of jarring to me watching this was just how many different shows would just suddenly keep popping up. I think Sailor Moon was in it a little bit. Berserk was in it. Again, Monster of all things. Like, okay. But the real thing that this one does is have the characters speaking the lyrics. Like they're actually kind of saying them and then their mouths moving. And then multiple ones would be doing it. And have Luffy saying these words and various other characters. And they would rapidly montage. There was a lot of masking. So the technically impressive thing is how much masking is going on. And a lot of this technical stuff that like I don't even know how they actually did it, especially back in this day. There's probably some wacky gimmicky kind of tool that they probably used or something. But like it's pretty insane and over the top. The song is very like Through the Fire and Flames-esque. Big solos and a lot of fights and stuff, and yeah, a lot of fun. It's just kind of cringy to me as with like having the characters like speaking the lyrics and a lot of them like joining together and stuff. And I mean it is admirable, the amount of work going into that with masking the character out and then all this other stuff kind of floating in the background and stuff. It is really insane. So give props to the guy for sure. But it's one thing to be like, well, that is an impressive thing you did technically. And then, as a creative choice, it can be judged or praised separately. And I don't know. It wasn't my favorite kind of choice. But yeah, I mean, it is really interesting and cool. But yeah, pretty insane. Thank you for recommending another very old, ancient AMV. Yeah, cheese. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Now for some videos that I thought were decent, pretty good. And the first one I wanted to discuss is someone who DM'd me of their stuff, and people do that all the time, and that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, I'll wait for an upload, see if there's something that's interesting. And No Name WEEB had this video, What Defines Anime Aesthetics? And they're kind of talking about what makes it so appealing, and I like the one kind of almost little through line. I think it was a very unique part of the video, was talking about kind of anime avatars and why people use those specifically, and kind of getting to the bottom of that. I don't think No Name we really dug far enough to my liking into that idea. I think that would be interesting to kind of explore a little bit of like, why are they so appealing, and he's just like, yeah, they're appealing, they're attractive. It's like, yeah. So but this feels very much like kind of an encouragement for exploration of the medium, in terms of like all the different styles it can have. You explore different directors, and they have references to different studios, and he lists off a bunch of studios and what they do. I don't feel like it had as much of a strong through line to me as like, this is the core thing of what we're going for, and getting to the bottom of some of these ideas. I think if you focus on a particular show, that could be interesting, of like, what does that stand out with this other thing. But I get he's trying to cast a really wide net. I think the word you're really looking for is versatility. I don't want to be this as like a humble bragger, or I don't know, or just like, I don't know, as weirdly vain, I guess. But a lot of this video did feel like it was echoing off of my video on how to get into anime, and how you can generally tell what era an anime is from based on what they look like. And he's kind of like, in the 70s it looked like this, and it's very it's very similar to what I was doing in my video in that part. He goes into the director's kind of thing. It had a lot of echoing to what I made, which is interesting, and there's not a negative at all. I just was like, oh, that's something I'm observing and is standing out to me and worth communicating, at least to me. But I will say, it's like, some of them get real. He was saying like the 70s they were super realistic, and then the 90s is when they get more chibi and stuff like that. And sure, but it's not like the 70s were completely devoid of cartoony stuff. I think it's more that we, as a Western audience, have not been exposed to that stuff almost at all. Like, they would bring over the super robot stuff, which itself can be pretty cartoony. Like, Mazinger's, if you look at the designs in kind of a vacuum, they look kind of realistic, but there's there's characters in Mazinger Z and the way that they act in the show itself that can be pretty zany and cartoony. It can kind of do both. But yeah, like a lot of 70s stuff, like Gamba no Boken, a lot of stuff from Studio A Pro, Tensai no Bakuban, I believe. I mean, you also have like Doraemon and stuff like that, Gutsy Frog. You have a lot of examples of like the super wacky cartoony stuff. That was, it's pretty prevalent in the 70s. And it just wasn't the stuff that we think of and what we bring over and what we sort of like, we're like, oh, wow, right? Pay attention to, I suppose, as much. It's a very neglected piece of anime industry history kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, that's just that seems to be just like to the extent of No Name Weeb's knowledge is at, and that's fine. A lot of people I was at that point that he's at, and I would have probably made these same points, and I probably make vaguely the same points in this How to Anime video at points. But it is, you do want to be careful with, like, because I think one of the appeals that I think No Name Weeb is coming from here is kind of the anime aesthetic thing, is the appeal of its versatility. It can do all of these different things at the same time and in different facets, and has so much variety. I think variety is really the main attraction for me, at least. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But I think it's interesting to that you're making videos at this stage of your journey, and you're not like super deep into it yet. But what you're communicating here is really promising, in my opinion, because it shows that you care. Caring about who's making the stuff, even just mentioning Hayao Miyazaki and Masaki Yuasa. It's not like, it's, to those of us who are way deeper, it's like, yeah, okay, sure, it's kind of basic, right? But that's still heck of a lot less basic than some of these people further up who, like, they don't even care. but it's a good start. Basically, is kind of what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm hoping you enjoyed making the videos and stuff, and keep going at it. Nice one. I checked out an Anime Misfit video, and this time it's mostly Lamp doing the stuff. Life's small moments are worth living in Horimiya. Well, just Horimiya. Talking generally about Horimiya, I like the structure that Lamp had here, where he's just at this desk. He's like, "Oh, I've been getting more into slice of life lately," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm into this." It kind of immersed me really well off the bat, and I think it felt like he was talking very generally about Horimiya, and it only gets me it's so much invested, I guess. I did see the first episode of Horimiya, so I was able to kind of gel with some of the things he was talking about. But yeah, I really liked the more editorial type of vibe that this had initially to me. I think he went a little too much into the show, and it wasn't as engaging to me and unique. I don't know. There's something about like hearing from his perspective. I think was much more engaging to me, at least. And those parts where it was kind of showing his avatar type of character was when I was actually engaged more. Just because it's his personal perspective, I guess, and not just kind of talking generally about a seasonal anime, where it's like, yep, it's another one of these, a lot of people make this sort of video, you know what I mean? But yeah, I really liked this. Yeah. But I would say lean more into this, into like kind of how you're feeling about, being as an anime fan, I guess. And that one line of like I've been getting more into slice of life lately, and just thinking about that a little more. Maybe that was just a throwaway like hook or you're just saying that to kind of segue into what you really want to talk about, maybe. But that was just something that I noticed and something I was interested in. I checked out a video from Anime Backwhen talking about Kaze no Yojimbo. It's just a review on DVD Saturdays, and I like these very low stakes, small type of video where it's it seems like one take. I believe it was one take, but it was just turn on the camera and talk about this thing he just finished watching, and general review, but it didn't feel very ordered and structured. It felt like kind of giving his loose impressions of a show, and I thought that was really nice and low stakes, and it's cool that he's able to just kind of put that stuff out there, I guess. And he has a good kind of affable persona on screen and stuff, and it's pretty nice and easy to watch sort of deal. I didn't feel the need to see anime clips. Actually, I felt like he was describing it fairly well. Yeah, and I do wish, like, for me, I struggle with, like, I have to make this big thing. I have to make a big thing out of that. Put all this effort in, otherwise why make it? Kind of. I'm not like making those words. I'm not like using those words necessarily, but it's just a habit I have where, like, I just have to put a bunch of effort in. It's like, this is my big special. Every project is special to me, except like Digest. But then Digest, it's like 50 minutes each, right? So it's like, Jesus. And watch it. Like, I literally block them an entire day for Digest, sort of deal. And this is like the lowest effort thing that I do. But like, I always admire that when, like, someone's able to make this sort of video, and get his thoughts out there and interact with his community in that way. I think it's great. And it was interesting. Yeah, it's pretty good. Checked out sydsnap talking about redo of Healer. She calls it a terrible series. And I did it because I rarely see her talk about actual anime. The anime aesthetic, right? Or the kind of the aura around it. But she focuses on other things, and that's fine. But it was interesting to be like, oh, she's talking about a relevant seasonal anime. Interesting. And I really liked the amount of effort she actually put into giving this series a chance. She read the entire manga up to catching up to it. So she's not like, so I checked out the first episode, like a lot of us are. Like, a lot of us don't really want to invest in this. We're just like, out of curiosity sort of deal, like, guess I'll check out the first episode or something. And I guess the second one, in the case of this show. Ugh. I did watch the second episode of this. The first two episodes, I mean. And yeah, oh man, it's not fun. It's not great. It's not even like, like I don't mind like suffering in a show inherently, right? Like Technolize is something, right? And but there's a uniqueness to it. But like I guess I don't want to turn this into my thoughts on Redo of Healer, I guess. I pretty much agree with Sidsnap's sentiment here that it's just not really, it really shouldn't have been adapted into an anime and getting all this attention and stuff. I did like that she in the middle of her kind of rant of sorts, she's like, "Well, how much did this sell?" And then it cuts to be like, "Oh my god, it sold almost 1 million copies!" Like that was a cool moment. She didn't have like that prepared for her little lecture of sorts. It feels like you're in her room and like she's talking and complaining. It's like, "Oh my god, I just finished this Redo of Healer thing." It feels very personable in that way, which is cool and very engaging. And again, because like she has constant energy and she has the same, there are dips I'm not going to say like it's the same level, but it's a consistent energy in there. It does have like dips of like, I don't know what I was trying to say. Sorry. I guess there's like she's consistently engaging and she's constantly like really like making a zinger here or like engaging the audience in some way and contrasting her like regret of like giving this series a chance with like her her conflicting feelings about it, because it's like, oh, I really like revenge stories like this, but like this really let me down as a fan of these types of stories, especially because it's such a high profile when everyone's hyping it up and stuff. And it's like I could she doesn't say this inherently, but I could tell there's this like intonation of like, yeah, but go read this other actually good revenge story. This gives revenge this Redo of Healer kind of gives revenge stories a bad rap compared to what could be accomplished, and kind of the cool thing about them. That'd be an interesting subject for a later video or something. I don't know, but like I guess if you just want to move on from this because it's kind of a ugh. But I liked it. It does feel very off the cuff and very, I wouldn't say one-sided, I guess, but one note, I guess. I don't know. It is really cool though. That she was able to give the full treatment. It's like, look, I read the whole manga. It doesn't get better, or it doesn't yada 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 type of thing. Like she's coming from a place of like, yeah, I did read the thing. Anyway, yeah, I did like that a good deal. I'm subscribed to a guy called Chris Cornell. You may recognize him as doing these various memes where Cardi B or some other celebrity, or he's basically like orchestrating a viral video and like playing piano to how they're talking, I guess. I don't know. But he's moved on and has a full-fledged channel at this point, and it's very active and well done. And out of the blue, he dropped this video on Cowboy Bebop's soundtrack. Jazz pianist reacts to Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. And I really like that he actually went into research about Yoko Kanno, and I liked a lot that he addresses this kind of controversy that like I hadn't. It's not like super well known in the sphere that I'm in, at least, but maybe I guess he stumbled upon it and he's like, that's dumb, of kind of her plagiarizing certain things, and he's like, no, he goes out of his way to really tell the difference between a plagiarism of music and an inspiration and influence of music, which I think was really cool. But I really liked his reactions to Tank and various other tracks. I wish there was some more. I wish he was. I don't know. I liked all of it in terms of the commentary and his insights into arranging and what Yoko Kanno was, how talented she is, from the research that he did. I just like his reactions a whole lot, but like I get why you can only do so much because you'll get claimed and stuff. And he only did so much to be able to, I guess, not. I don't know if he got claimed for it or not. Whatever. Would it be? Yeah, I just wish there was more quantity of reactions, I guess. But yeah, it was really fun and cool. Yeah. Anime News Network had a video I checked out because, surprise, it's actually Ember Reviews debuting on their channel. Burn the Witch, Fairy Tales, and Shonen Storytelling, making an essay video on Burn the Witch and this interesting contrast of shonen storytelling usurping or kind of not debunking, I guess, but like outclassing the traditional sort of fairy tale type of thing, using the Burn the Witch narrative, which relies a bit on fairy tales and influence of fairy tales, I guess, and how the characters act in such a battle shonen type way that kind of refute the ideas that fairy tales are posing, I suppose. And I like the idea a good deal. I will say, and this isn't like to fully disagree with what Ember's saying here. I happen to be helping to produce a release for Discotheque Media called Grimm's Fairy Tales, which is an anime from the 80s that happened to air on Nick Jr. Back in the 90s, I guess. And they're good. It's very straight-laced adaptations of the classic Grimm's fairy tales, and there's a lot of those that there's like 50 something episodes of that. And so I had obviously heard of many of them, but not a lot, but about half of them actually. I'd only heard about maybe half of them, and the other half was like, oh, I'd never heard of this story before. And some of them were really fun and kind of adventurous and action packed, and also kind of felt like a shonen in a way, actually. So I wouldn't say I kind of go like a hashtag not all fairy tales on that one, because I think the ones that we're certainly familiar with and the ones that Disney adapted certainly have that not appeal, I guess, but general theme that Ember talks about here, which I believe is just kind of like getting stuff handed to you in a way, like you're down on your luck and then something miraculous happens, something crazy happens to you that you don't necessarily deserve, and it's a commentary on how various characters handle that, or how that can, various going astray and stuff. And shonen storytelling is doing your best with the abilities you have. Although it's not completely true, right? Because I agree that with Naruto at least, but at least for the main character Naruto. And, this is again off the top of my head, and I think it could be explored much deeper. But, like, Ichigo is technically given his Soul Reaper powers at the beginning, right? Like, he can see ghosts, and yeah, there's this whole backstory and yada yada. But at the end of the day, at the very beginning, he's granted these powers and stuff. And Midoriya is also granted these One for All powers. And yeah, there's a little bit of like in between there where he did to the best of his ability, used the abilities he had, which was none, but like just his kind of his courage, and that earns him the One for All powers. Whatever, dude. Sorry. I'm not much of a, I enjoy watching the shonen stuff, but I'm not I don't know how much I really want to dip my toes into actually talking about it. I think there's just more nuance to this. But I do like it's a fairly good shorthand for a pretty effective video on Burn the Witch specifically. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's interesting. But there's just more to be. I think there's more nuance to be said, which is, I always like. I almost missed this one, but there's this channel called ANIMYZE who doesn't upload very often and has only had like 4 uploads total or something, at least from what I could tell on their channel. And I happened to catch, they upload very rarely. So, and I saw like the title, the video, what is the anime chord progression? I was like, well, I don't know what that is. Okay, let's click that. So I was interested. So this seems to be mostly a music-related channel. I think kind of focusing squarely on anime OPs and EDs, which is cool. It's, when you're actually talking about music theory, I don't know if music theory is the right word for it. I'm not much of a music person. Even though I follow Charles Cornell and Adam Neely, I don't know what they're saying, but it's interesting. or like the needle drop, even though it doesn't really talk about music theory per se. Yeah, but like this was cool. Very simplistic editing, even though I could tell from the few little bits that they're doing that it's like, okay, they're pretty proficient with editing and stuff, but they're not going crazy with this. I like the efficiency basically in the editing, where you kind of wow the audience with a couple cuts at the beginning and at the end, but in the middle there's a very economic choice that still looks good, but is very easy to just kind of plug in and do. I do I envy that as someone who just does nothing but effort. Why do I do that to myself? Jesus. It's so nice when I don't, I'm like, I'm just going to put the clip here. It's so nice. Anyway, yeah, but this was cool. I'm not much of a music person, so there's a lot of this was just like, I don't know, okay. But yeah, I think the examples specifically very much helped, where Anime Yusef was his name. He played a lot of OPs and EDs like in a row, and they all had similar kind of, I guess, chord progression. Sure, sounds convincing. If you know more about it than I do, then you can fact check. You can see if you can square it up. You can size it up if you want. But yeah, I thought it was kind of neat. And first time I'm talking about this channel, so I'm happy to do that. I really liked the polish on this, and it sounded very informative. A lot of it just... But okay, cool. And last, I just want to shout this out. I can't give it like a full, hey, check this video out, because sorry, I didn't listen to all of it, because what it is. But there's a new channel called John and Cort. Subscribe to John and Cort. Which they're fully, at the first few seconds they're like fully acknowledging their parallels to Jack and Core, but I think that's really fun that they're kind of poking at that and being a little self-aware, and they had their own live stream going at the same time as Jack and Core with the Anime Awards, so it'd be pretty funny if there was like a rivalry or something like that. I don't know. I think that'd just be funny. But John and Cort are both sweethearts. They wouldn't hurt they wouldn't combat anything. And I can say that because I've gotten to know them a good deal as patrons of mine, and they join a lot of my group watches. And I don't know about how 100% true this is, but I feel like they met each other there because I can't think of anything else. And then they've been doing their own group watches of Naruto and stuff. So they've formed a much deeper bond than just the initial, whatever. But we're still doing group watches on my Patreon. You can. This is a plug for my Patreon now. We're watching Nana, and it's a good time. But yeah, I was so excited to see that they actually came back, because like Cort had been doing his own channel, and then he didn't upload for a long, hasn't uploaded period. And it's like, okay, actually no, that's a lie. Cort was doing podcast type stuff about football. That's right. That's why I forgot. No, but like it was really fun, and it's sort of a FaceTime, face-to-face sort of thing. Really nice format here. I did not care very much for the subject, so I was like, I'm just gonna shout them out, and I'll wait for the highlights. I guess they're gonna edit some highlight stuff, and I'm like, cool. But this is well polished on Seaweed's end, and I assume it's Seaweed, John, editing this. But yeah, it's pretty cool and fun. Even though I have, I trust it's great. All right, as someone who's heard plenty of their banter and stuff, it's a good time. Okay, and now what I thought were the best videos of the week, stuff that I thought of a word, and I'm not gonna say it. You're just gonna have to wonder what that was. That would have been really dumb. To start, I wanted to give another shout out to a video that I didn't watch all of, or most of, or that much of, because it's a subject again that not that I'm not interested in. Actually, I am interested in the story of Final Fantasy VII so far. It's a comparative exploration of the original and remake by Aleczandxr. And I wanted to shout it out here just because, guys, the man dropped a 3-hour video. 3 hour, definitely fully edited. Like, I don't know Aleczandxr to, like, just make this a podcast. And I saw that he listed all these sources in the description and some timestamps. I'm like, oh, it's an essay video. It's a thick boy. And yeah, as someone who's made something of a similar length, I guess he has a whole hour and 19 minutes on me, which is insane. It is, I know how monumental an achievement that is. Just getting it out there and getting it done in any semblance of finished, which I know Aleczandxr definitely has high standards. Even though it's like I don't fully mesh with his content all the time, and like especially his subject matter, I'm just like, it's never something I'm interested in clicking on personally. But I can always tell that it's like he really is caring about what he's showing you and what he's writing about, and it doesn't feel like a plug and play. He makes good quality content, and when he drops something this huge, it's like Jesus Christ. I can't even imagine. So just wanted to extend a congratulations to Aleczandxr here. Very good job, even though I haven't seen much of the video. I'm sure it slaps. Are you kidding me? Talking about Final Fantasy VII this comprehensively, and I was seeing some of the sources that you were listing and talking about the game developers and his wife and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot here. Ooh, I think it was really exciting. So, I mean, if you care at all about Final Fantasy VII, I think this is excellent. I assume it's very excellent. Heck yeah. This video did show up in my subscription box, and I just put it in a watch later. I just haven't watched it yet, Core, until now. The most underrated anime director. I should have written the name down, but it's the director behind Calm and Around, and a couple other shorts. But like, it's one I can even tell much by the thumbnail. It's like, it's one of those independent animators, that's fine. That's fine. I do like the shorts that I have seen from this director and this particular animator. I suppose I guess he's practically animating the whole thing. At least that's what I am assuming. And Cort does a very good job giving you a really good sense of all of his works. Not like a comprehensive or anything like that, but it felt very holistic, ranging from his entire and even some of his popular stuff, like if you've seen Naruto The Last, that opening movie is by him. That was really cool tidbit as well. It didn't feel very regimented and structured in that way. It felt like Core's kind of guiding you in that way. It feels a lot like the 92 segments or the every anime reviewed type of segments, where you're just kind of having to come up with stuff to talk about, and it feels very in the moment kind of script writing. And I'm obviously experiencing this as, I don't know if this is supposed to be spoilers. I'm sorry. I'm spoiling it now. I won't tell you who else is in it, but I'm going to be in the upcoming installment of the next 1992 series, which is cool and fun, and I'm excited. And in writing those, it really and I've experienced this with the Summer of '89 one as well, where it feels a lot more freeform, and it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to make a video with a beginning, middle, and end. It's not like the segments shouldn't have a beginning, middle, and end. It'd be nice. It's a good idea, but I don't feel as restricted in that way. It doesn't feel like, oh, I have to make this a substantial video. I have to find more things to talk about, sort of deal. I feel very free writing these scripts and editing them in such a way, and I feel I get a sort of similar feel. It's I'd have to think about it more. I'd have to write a script about it to really understand it on my end. But there's something about the way Core's writing in this video. I think it just feels like something that he's wanted to make for a while, and he says that. And he's just able to kind of get that out there, and it's cool. I really liked the. No, it was. It definitely, I think I've commented on it before, but it was just a different avatar, I think. Where Core does like these cutaways to his avatar, and it kind of feels like he's pulling you out of the script, being like, yeah, I'm writing it in that way, or it's like, I don't want to make a pun, I don't want to make a joke here because it's, I don't know, the self-awareness of writing in these are very freeform and doesn't feel regimented, restricted type of deal. I think it's awesome. I think it feels great. So yeah, I like this video a good deal, especially since it's, I gotta give it best just for highlighting an obscure anime influencer. God, just for bringing something up like this up, I think it's always great and something it's a reliable thing with Core for me, and yeah, I love it a good deal. Hartvigen put out a video on 2020 hentai in a nutshell, and God, he is so funny in this. Especially the live action stuff. The skit with the VTuber was so good, so funny, and like his like thumbnail designer or something kept him in like a cage or whatever, and had to kill him off because of the budget, and stuff like that was really funny. A lot of the cutaways and he had me even in the not good type of thing was funny. There was one joke I do not approve of. I'm just gonna put it out there because it's like, I don't know. I would feel like I'm obscuring it if intentionally if I didn't bring that. But like, you really didn't have to make a KyoAni arson joke, dude. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. That wasn't funny. It was like, come on. It's more like it, but it's the other thing about it is just like, you're funny, okay? You don't have to try this hard. You didn't have to do that. You already got me laughing a bunch of other times. That wasn't funny. That was really insensitive. Come on. But it's anyway, sorry to move on from that. That was the one thing I was like, come on, man. I really, yeah. But I get it. You're trying to be, I get that that's your audience, and they're not gonna care, And you already have a bunch of edgy jokes already with just the subject matter you're talking about, and I totally get that. And it's not my wheelhouse, but like, I really thought you were able to convey what it's like being a hentai fan at your level, where you're talking about like, oh, this was last year's best hentai, and it's the same like the same group, or it's a sequel to this other thing, and really well communicating your expectations for these things, and also being honest with like, this was a super popular hentai this year. I didn't personally like it for this and this reason. Having a good swath of stuff, and it felt like I actually kind of understood the scene a very good deal, and it feels like you really are someone who is immersed in this and respects it, and not just like kind of tee-hee hentai. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, especially with hentai, it feels like one of those, like, because it's so taboo, it's so easy to kind of be like a tease at, or like, it's an appealing, attractive way to get people to watch your videos type of thing. But I think Hartvigen specifically really talks about it in such a way, it's like, yeah, you're talking about the studios, you're talking about the experience of it. It's like, sometimes that's all you want in a hentai is kind of, oh, it's hot, and just the way you talk about it is so sophisticated. not in like a, not in a Beyond Ghibli kind of sophisticated, but who I still think had, like, in my opinion, the best video on hentai so far, even though it doesn't talk too much about hentai explicitly as Hartvigen does here. But yeah, I really do love this video, and I like that you're talking about it in this way. Again, you're really, really funny, aside from that one joke that it's like, dude, that's too far. Come on. I feel like I have to specifically mention that. But like, all the different cutaways, the guts, it's, you're describing how good this dojin was or whatever, and then it gets adapted by a really shitty studio, and you're like, you play like the guts theme with the guy crying. It was so funny and visceral. And it's just super entertaining. It's a really fun video. Yeah, great job. It was a really, really good video, actually. And I shouldn't say actually, because it's a little backhanded. No, but genuinely, I liked this Nux Taku video a very good deal. And I was very surprised that he would eventually make something like this, because it really felt like, at least on the surface, over like, from me talking to him and like, my impressions of him, it really felt like this algorithm on YouTube. So the video is YouTube, a system designed to break you. I never like the YouTube algorithm. I don't like playing with it. I don't like the having to dodge the content. Everything that Nux Taku talks about here. And and I'm not even trying to make this my living. I'm not even like monetized. My channel's not monetized. So I can't even imagine having to actually look at these algorithm, the mental health tab, as Nux Taku calls it, where like the 9 out of 10s and 2 out of 10 stuff like that, and how it's like that really gauges your, I'm on this high, but I'm gonna go back into a low, and it's fluctuating, and it's really damaging and demoralizing. And it's a freaking treadmill. YouTube doesn't want you to stop, because if you stop, it's going to stop recommending your videos to stuff. You're like, oh, it's a dead channel. It doesn't upload anything anymore. Why should I? It's like, geez, Louise. This is the thing, right? It's so funny. I don't know why this hasn't been made. And Nux definitely refers to this, but like, I don't know why this hasn't been made by someone like Nerd City. Like he complains about YouTube all the time, but like, to this extent, I think is really valid. And the fact that, PewDiePie deals with this as well, and lots of channels have their own journeys and struggles with YouTube, and it's not easy, and it's not fun in points. It's like, we all like making videos and connecting with other people online and meeting other YouTubers, some people that we look up to, and it's we wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But like, it sucks. It sucks on these points, and I'm so happy that Nux was very thorough with what he was talking about and had it broken down to different sections. And I think with the editing, it's just like, it's a lot of reactionary GIF stuff and like what he says sentence by word type of deal. But there were some points where it's like, okay, you're bringing up very good examples. I like that it was one thing for me through the video. It was one thing to be like, I've talked with a lot of YouTubers, but it's another to me citing specific YouTuber. Here's their problem, and it's a different problem every time. And he's using examples and evidence, right? And I know I know he talks to these people. I think it would have been even more like, as it is, it's great. But I think it would have been even more effective if it was like kind of interviews, like if he was able to talk to them and they were able to kind of have a conversation, and he have that, not the full conversation, obviously, but like quotes from them. If they talk about it and if they kind of finish his sentences and like as a patchwork, I suppose, and he's able to contribute to it and kind of guide you through this whole thing with all the YouTubers and connections that he talks to, especially some of the higher up people that he's in connection with. He's a very big social butterfly at this point. Something that I really think is completely unique to him. I may have said this before, but it's completely unique to him compared to basically the rest of us. None of us are even close to. No, I don't know if I feel like PewDiePie knows who he is. He talks with Critical and like all these actually big YouTubers. The rest of us, we're just kind of in our own little island and stuff. We have our own space. But Nux actually really reaches out to other people and makes new connections, which is such a valuable thing, and it's actually really cool. I'm just saying, it could have been even better if he had the quote from some of the people that he talked to. But I get these like referencing of like, oh yeah, sydsnap talked about this happening to her channel and Gigik and everything, and other channels and stuff. And I thought he was very well where he came from. He had a lot of personal examples. It was like, for example, I just released this video about feminism, blah, blah, blah. And, I get that he can be kind of a toxic, and he very much wears that moniker for himself and pokes fun. And a lot of people don't like him, even though they don't. I like that he spoke to that, actually, and he's going to talk more about like the social climate in another video. But I really like that he really addresses it's weird that they talk about me as if they know who I am when they don't. And it's like, well, you haven't talked to me personally, and I don't know you, right? And so a lot of people on Twitter I know of is like kind of dunking on him for just a snippet of one of his videos or a thumbnail or something. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I've called him out in some of this stuff in the past because I do think he's an influence that I'm not going to be an influencer, right? But he is somebody that could make a noticeable impact in our community because of his reach. And that could be for both positive and negative. And I think in this case, it's a very strong positive. And this is the stuff that I'm happy that because he plays this game very closely. He likes it a lot, and I think he says in the video he does still like it at points, but it sucks. It's not fun in plenty of it's broken. Copyright ID. So he makes probably the best case in my, like, a lot of people complain about the YouTube ID content ID system, but I think the examples that Nux pulls here and the way that he frames it, and it's so unbearable in the weight of all these examples, and it's like, it sucks, it's a joke, and he's like, I'm not trying to be like, no copyright ID system, but geez Louise, this is completely broken. Yeah, and I think he does a very good job here. And I was looking at the comments too. A lot of people are supporting. He's like, yes, this is exactly how I feel. It is inevitable that we tie the video's success to our worth. And I could even like connect this sort of to in terms of growth and, kind of on YouTube. I feel that way when like I love this particular video that I made and I released it after a very, very long dry spell on my channel and didn't have a very flashy thumbnail, or a good thumbnail for that matter. I had to change it after stubbornly using the one that kind of sucked. And, I thought it would do well, but it didn't. And it was very, very crushing. And it felt like I failed. It's you're a failure, right? But you shouldn't feel that way in a creative medium like this, when like it's supposed to be fun, and it's like it sucks that the numbers, as a human nature thing, we see them and it affects us and affects our art. It affects our art, not to mention the fact that people just make stuff because they. I like that Nux talked about how it's like inevitably if you do this long enough, you start less thinking about what you want to make and more of what the audience wants you to make and what the audience wants you to see, and you have to find the balance to that, because it could very well just be the vapid I make the strongest fights in anime, blah blah blah, but I have to find that nuance where it's like, I'm interested in this particular aspect, but I think the audience will like this too. I agree that that's a really important balance. You can't just be you can do whatever you want, but you're not going to be happy with the success. The views, the numbers are really going to discourage you from doing that. It's very discouraging. And yeah, I think I think Nux communicates it the way he's able to, the way it's edited, and the way he communicates, very shouty and scripted in a lot of places, but it feels very casual and ranty and a little repetitive in places. But I feel like it still warrants its length, because it's such a vast network and rabbit hole of crap. And I think he really sells that idea very effectively. I think it's a fantastic video. It is kind of the my favorite that I've seen from him. I liked it a very good deal, and I'm happy he made it. Very, very happy he made it. Yeah. Thank you. Very, very good. And then, the last video I want to talk about, I think Nux's video definitely has like the splash and the kind of the most importance that I was like, yeah, I'm very happy this came out this week. But I wanted to save this one last because it's cool, because this is by a patron of mine, and they were inspired to make this, to inspire to watch Ojimandra Doremi from my video. And, this is effectively their third video. The first one is just an off-scripted, like, camera cord type of thing. But, like, this was the first edited type of video, per se. And it was already really well done, I thought. And I'm not just saying that because he's a patron of mine. I'm not saying because you talk about Ojimandra Doremi. Of course I'm going to like it. And he, immediately prefaces it with, oh, it's a 10. and talk about how great it is, sort of deal. No, but I really liked the humor in this. It's really funny and like comes out of nowhere, and it's very quick and refreshing in that way. It doesn't feel like osmosis from a lot of people. It feels very unique and stuff. Um, I really liked his presence on in the video. Not like he filmed himself, but like the it sounded like the way he was talking. It just feels like he's been making videos for a while. It feels very comfortable and not very like reading off of a script type of thing. It actually feels very natural, which I was impressed with and very happy to see as someone who's effectively doing this for the first time. To my knowledge, I mean, maybe he has on other channels. Oh, I did this way back or something. He doesn't tell me. Uh, no, but I really liked this, and he goes over. Boo goes over 3 episodes with three more reasons. I thought it was going to be 3 more characters because mine was the 6 more reasons, and this is kind of like an add-on to my video type of deal. So I thought it was going to be about 3 additional characters that I didn't like. Oh, okay, yeah, my video is kind of pop erasure. I understand, No, but he's talking about 3 episodes, and I like that each one is additive and it builds on top of each other of the effectiveness of the series and what it does really well as a whole. And in terms of the first season, he's only seen the first season, but that's okay. Just another Ochimajidori meme video that only watched the first season. Fine, totally fine. Not a dig at all. Watch the rest of it. No, yeah. But I thought that was really fun, and like for first video, it's really cool. I like the framing with like his avatar, in the corner, in like cutting away to him next to like a blackboard and stuff. I thought that was a cool, effective device visually, and I liked the transitions using the eye catch to, transition to the episode titles. I thought was really cool. Yeah, and I thought it was really well made. Yeah. I mean, not the most like knock your socks off type of thing, but I was just very flattered to see that, and I don't know. I like to think I always think it's presumptuous of me to say, but even in the face of something like this, where the title is like kind of an add off to my video, it mentions my video, and he shared it in my thing with his patron and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. The fact that I like to think that I'm influencing other people to come into this field, I think is really cool. If that's I don't know if that's, again, I don't want to be presumptuous and stuff, but like if that's what's happening here, that is really freaking cool, and I'm very happy about that. But yeah, thank you. If that was the intention, Boo, I don't know. I don't want to assume things. But yeah, very, very cool. Great video. Very good video. And that'll do with this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Austin, Beamburst, Boo, Cozy, Hazel, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Nicholas, Saxon, Unique Nemosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.